Hello, this is Carrie for Redesign with Prima, and today we're going to make some resin galaxy boards. I want to show you how to use our Finnabair art mediums in the resin and how beautiful they turn out. First, I painted my bamboo boards in a black paint color. It can be acrylic paint, chalk paint, whatever you have. And I'm adding specks with our White Impasto Paint. It's not working out too well one-handed, but you get the drift. I do end up adding some gold as well. And here I'm showing you some of our Metallique paints and Sparks paints. So these are acrylics. They are very pigmented, very, very shimmery, and they blend beautifully together. So I'm using my number 10 Finnabair brush. It's a nice flat brush at the tip so that I can just kind of work in the paints and start layering. So here I'm starting with like the periwinkle blue color, which is called Ice Queen. And then I'm working in Jade Stone, and I love how beautifully these mix together. And I just want a soft blended background. And I'm going in kind of an area where I think I want to add the resin to have the galaxy cascade across the boards. And I do try to blend it out just a bit from the main part. And this paint dries very, very quickly. So I can go right in and start blending right away. Now I'm adding in some Sparks gold paint. The Sparks is extremely sparkly, and that's why we call it Sparks. This will add a lot of shimmer underneath the resin. You'll still be able to see it, and I'm telling you, it looks so beautiful. So you can see I'm just kind of going along and mixing the colors. Now it's the Opal Magic paint. This is violet gold. So Opal Magic means it shows up differently on two different backgrounds. So if it's a dark background, it'll be gold. If it's a lighter background, it'll show up like a violet color. And you can see how shimmery and beautiful, and the coverage is great. On this board, I did add the Opal Magic, the gold, and then I went in with some red as well. Don't worry, I'll have everything listed in the description, all the colors I used for you. There you go. You can see kind of the lines that I went along with, and it's not, done perfectly, which is okay. You just want it to kind of be in that form or shape. Now I mixed about 200 grams of epoxy resin, and here I am adding our liquid acrylic paint called Ink Black. So the Ink Black is going to be transparent in the resin, which is what I'm going for. So that when I put it over my background, it's those colors that I've already painted on will show through. And I also mixed up a little bit of white pigment paste. It's from the company that I get the resin through. It works really well. It's thicker. It's a thick paste. It's beautiful. And I set aside some clear resin cups for my colors also before I mixed in that black ink liquid acrylic. And I'm going with brighter colors. I feel like the brighter colors are going to show up a lot better because the whole background will be, in the darker resin. So I chose, bright greens and like a pink and the blue. And I did use some of the colors I already painted onto the background as well. So it would all kind of coordinate. And you can see I'm just adding just a little bit, to the resin on the tip of that stick. The more mediums you add to your resin, the quicker the resin's going to set up. Your work time is definitely cut down. So just keep that in mind. But a very little bit goes a long way. Now, here I am pouring that black resin over the background, and I use my glove just to move it all over the board. I get to the edges and make sure that it's as evenly covered as possible. And working on two boards at once does take some practice. I'm used to doing this, but I do recommend you start with a smaller project, if you're just new to this. There we are. And then what I'm going to do next is take my heat gun. I have a heat gun. It has different settings on it for like heat and speed. And you want to go over it with the heat on low and just pop all those air bubbles that you made when you spread out the resin. The air bubbles need to go away. Otherwise, they're going to show up in your artwork, and you don't want that. Now I'm taking all those little colors I mixed, and I'm just pouring little lines of the colors, and I definitely can layer. I can keep them separate. It's just all a matter of taste and how you want it to look. Some of the lighter colors I might do on the outside of the pores just because then they kind of still show up and not get lost in the darker, brighter colors that I'm using. I hope that makes sense. And you can see that I am just kind of going along the lines of what the shape of where I originally painted the boards. And I'm not being real careful. I'm just having fun and pouring the colors and playing around with them a little bit. That's part of the fun. Now, the white pigment paste that I mixed, I only add a very, very little bit because it's very thick and it will overtake a lot of the colors that you use. So you want to be very careful with that and not use an awful lot. And now I'm going in and heating up those lines on low with the heat set. And then I just kind of warm up the resin just a little bit where I know I'm going to start moving the resin around. And then I go on higher speed. And then, as you can see, it pushes the colors along the board, along the lines, and I go back and forth. I do it in different directions as I go. And I kind of play around with this too. I might want it to go, some of the color to go this way and some of the color to go that way. But this is actually kind of the fun part. But you have to keep the gun moving the entire time. You don't want to get the resin too hot and you don't want to overwork. So make sure you always keep that heat gun moving and don't concentrate on one spot for too long. And I really love to use products together from the same company because they're like the liquid acrylics from the Finnabair collection work well with the Metallique paints because they were all made to work together. So I'm very confident in using those different mediums on one project. And here I'm using my little torch to pop any bubbles after I'm done blowing the colors around. And here you can see how it looks. And as the resin sets and cures, it's still going to flow. The colors are still going to move. And it takes about 24 hours for this to cure. And here are the results. Now, I did not tape the back. I just go in with my orbital sander and remove any of the drips. And I also sand the sides. So my board's nice and neat. I don't use the tape, but you certainly can. And you can see just how they turned out. And I hope you can see some of that sparkle. It's really hard to get on camera, but I'm telling you, the shimmer and the shine, everything works so beautifully and shows up amazingly. If you have any questions about this tutorial, please ask in the comments. We'll be happy to answer. And like I said before, I'll have all the products I used listed in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.